Now, insurers are being overcautious about making the move into Africa and risk losing out on massive opportunities that the continent offers. This is the view of Jonathan Holden, head of insurance at Innovation Group, who says that while setting up shop in most African markets presents a number of risks, these can be mitigated and can even be to insurers' advantage. Jonathan joins us here in studio to take a look at the sector. Jonathan, thank you so much for making the time to join us. Now, with only 3.5% of the potential African market insured, why are insurers being so cautious to grab what clearly seems to be a market to be grabbed?
Well, I think one of the issues is Africa is seen as a country, when the reality is that it's 54 countries,
right,
multiple languages, multiple risks, including language, legal systems, monetary systems. And so when people talk about Africa, I think it needs to be dissected, and people need to understand that, you know, the opportunities are certainly there. It's not an all or nothing opportunity. It's about carefully selecting where good business is, and in many cases partnering with people who've been there and done that and can provide some sort of synergy in the business relationship. It's very important to understand the market you're going into.
So to a large extent, what I'm hearing is almost an absence of information is what's holding insurers and those wanting to invest into the insurance space from tapping into the potential in Africa.
That is true in many cases. You know, some of the insurance statistics on the continent, the most recent statistics are dated 2009, 2010. So it's very difficult to understand the true potential and the risks and the potential growth in those markets. But, you know, having said that, there are some reliable sources of data, and, you know, the countries that are being talked about most are Angola, Nigeria, Ghana, those countries with more established insurance systems and good potential growth markets.
It's interesting that you list those because, I mean, in some of the briefing notes, I understand that 73% of insurance premiums are currently held in South Africa. So the remaining percentile, with 27% or whatever it is largely distributed amongst those countries, or are there opportunities in other African markets?
The opportunities everywhere, but I think we need to look at where the markets are substantial, and generally markets are substantial where the population is. So Nigeria is massive with a population in excess of 150 million people, whereas if you look at a country like Malawi or Uganda, whilst they have good growth prospects, the populations there and the markets are very small. So from an insurer's perspective, not very attractive. The attraction lies in the populations that are huge, and that is because the personal market, or the man on the street, that insurance market is relatively untapped.
Right.
And that's where the growth opportunity lies.
Let's look at the risks that the reliable sources of data throw up. What should insurers be looking out for before they foray into a new market?
I think coming back to my point on the market size, get reliable data, the growth potential, the research in terms of the products that are needed is invaluable. And to the extent that that exists, I think it will help insurers make the right decisions. I think the life market as well, it's something that isn't talked about often, but it's untapped largely. And I've heard figures of potential growth prospects of over 20% in the life market. I think what is critical is educating people and getting a consumer awareness about the benefits of insurance. That is lacking, generally speaking, in the lower end of the market in Africa, including South Africa.
So let's look at the personal and life market, as you call it in particular. Is the model that is currently deployed in South Africa likely to be feasible and also yields the same results when you go into other emerging markets on the African continent?
I think it's all about innovation in Africa. It's about doing things differently, about using technology, particularly mobile technology. That's something that's fairly advanced in Africa, and so we must use it. Collection of premium is an issue, and to the extent that that can be done through mobile contracts or in-store cards or whatever the mechanism, people need to be creative, do things differently. There is a market, and I think it's going to be a model that is different to the one that operates in South Africa.
Jonathan, how much of this all hinges on a robust regulatory environment? And can we speak about a regulatory environment generally across the board, across these 54 states?
South Africa is very heavily regulated at the moment. I think it's a good thing for a mature market. However, most of the markets north of our border tend to be less mature, and so there needs to be an element of flexibility in regulation. You can get to the point of over-regulating, which stifles growth, stifles innovation, and that's not what the continent needs at this point.
One of the things that always comes up when one talks about the insurance sector is this allegation that there's a shortage of skills in the sector. Firstly, is this an accurate reflection? And if it is, what needs to happen to turn it around?
There is a shortage of skills, and I think when people refer to that, it's the technical insurance skills, the underwriting, the basic principles of insurance that is lacking. There are a lot of people working in this industry who are qualified, who have perhaps accounting skills and what have you, but it's the technical underwriting which is only learned through experience, and that experience is not coming through in the industry anymore. So the older, more experienced people are leaving the industry, and the young people coming through are not benefiting from that experience. I think it's also a factor of the desirability or the attractiveness of the industry. Insurance has struggled in the past with a stigma. People think insurance is about taking people's money and not paying them back. It's about grey men in suits.
Others would think that's a lucrative space to be in.
Yes, it could be for some, but certainly that is the perception of the industry. And you have university graduates with degrees and qualifications preferring to migrate towards banking potentially and other sectors and not insurance. And that to me is part of the problem.